Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. All glories to the devotees. Please accept my humble request. This is Varadana, welcoming all of you to the early morning worship on the fountain of God. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your intense chanting. I would like to read the 10 articles to the holy name which are to be avoided written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. Number 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2. To construct the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Shiva be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scripture in reference to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious rhythmic activities which are offered as the other substitutive activities karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success Krishna prema. Once again, thank you very much for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today, and I welcome all of you to all of you. Let us move to our next session. May I know all have joined the call this morning? Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा वर्धनवती दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभात की जय गुरु महाराज की जय दिस इज विनीता गंधर्विका देवदासी फ्रॉम टेक्सास हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna Vineeta Gandharika Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Chandra Dhamma, Dr. Nathanaya from Austin, Texas. Please accept our obeisances. All goes to Guru Maharaj, all goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to all the Samma devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Radha Damodar Prabhuji and Agma Maya Mataji, Danvaj Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Prabhuji and Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the groups. This is Krishna Kumar Devidas from the
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji, Danvaj Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Padma Sakhi Devidas.
Hare Krishna Padma Sakhi Mataji, Danvaj Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Anjan Gupika Devidas.
Hare Krishna Krishna Gopika Mataji, Danvaj Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Sri Shyam Devidas from Shal.
Hare Krishna Shamagauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Sita Devidas from Dallas.
Hare Krishna Vrinda Gopika Mataji and Sita Priti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Gokavan the Palda, Comfort Loaded.
Hare Krishna Gopal Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Prabhuji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Radhika from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Radhika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Bhakta Vaishnavas on the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Manisha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Lalita Radha Devidas. Hare Krishna Lalitangi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Is anybody else would like to introduce themselves?
The recording has started.
Welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have her Grace SaciSuta Mataji. Mataji is going to enlighten us on the topic of SaciSuta Ashtakam, session 2. Hare Krishna Mataji, are you present on the call?
Hare Krishna Vardhana Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much Mataji for giving your valuable time and association to us in this morning and enlightening us on this topic. I'll hand out the call to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My heartfelt gratitude to all of you for being here on the call, and gratitude to all the online viewers also. Hare Krishna. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुर्लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताका स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमः आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथाधामदाय नगरग्रामतारिणे। नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcoming all of you again. Thank you very much for this opportunity to serve. So we will continue with Sri SaciSuta Ashtakam, composed and written by Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. We will recite verse 2 today. नवहेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववेशकृतं हरिनामपरं नवधाविलसत् शुभप्रेममयं प्रणमामि सचीसुत गौरवरम्। प्रणमामि सचीसुत गौरवरं, प्रणमामि सचीसुत गौरवरम्। Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is endowed with ever fresh love of Godhead. His radiant luster is like the color of fresh butter. His fresh attire is arranged in ever new fashions. He relishes ever new mellows of love for Krishna. He shines in ninefold new ways while executing the ninefold processes of devotion. He is permeated with the most auspicious loving nature. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Shachi. So last week we started this most glorious Sri SaciSuta Ashtakam, as is composed by Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And last week we were hearing the glories of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, him meeting with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and transforming the beautiful heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, making him into a pure Prema Bhakta. So all of this we heard last week, and we said that we will start off with some of the childhood pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because the previous verse, the first verse, talks about that he makes ever new jokes that cause much laughter. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he accepted sannyas, Mahaprabhu was a very grave and a very serious sannyasi. He would hardly, make fun or make jokes, or, unless he was in the association of very, very confidential associates. Sometimes with Lord Nityananda Prabhu, sometimes with Gadadhar Prabhu. And, with very confidential associates, Mahaprabhu would, come out and say something very funny. But when Mahaprabhu was displaying his childhood pastimes, so his childhood pastimes are filled with laughter, fun, and so much joking. Mahaprabhu would trouble the people of Navadvip so much that every day Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they would receive loads and loads of complaints from everyone in Navadvip. And the Brahmanas, the senior Vaishnavas of Navadvip, they actually found a striking resemblance to the way that Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are manifesting, his childhood pastimes, to the similar way that Krishna manifested his childhood pastimes. Very naughty. Krishna was so naughty. Every day Mother Jashoda would get so many complaints that your son did this, your son did that. And similarly, Sachi Mata would similarly get so many complaints about Gauranga Mahaprabhu, about little Nimai, every single day. Nimai Pandit was very, very mischievous, very naughty. And most of his mischievous, most of his naughtiness he would do on the banks of the Ganges. On the banks of the Ganges, Nimai, he would love frolicking in the waters of the Ganges. And the way Mahaprabhu would display his sweet, innocent childhood pastimes, is the way he would trouble the residents of Navadvip who would come to take bath in the Ganges. Men and women had separate ghats so that the etiquette is maintained. So when the men would go inside the Ganges, they would leave their dhoti, they would leave their kurta, and they would go down in their gamchas and, wrapped around in their cloth towels, and they would go down into the Ganges, leaving their dry clothes outside on the ghat. And similarly, the women, they would also enter the Ganges in, wearing gamcha and leaving their saris and, other clothing outside near the ghat. And Nimai, naughty little Nimai, he would exchange the clothing of the men and the women. And when the men would come out, instead of finding their dhotis, they would find saris. And when the women would come out, instead of finding their saris, they will find dhotis. And they would say, Nimai, what are you doing? What are you doing, Nimai? They would get so angry with Nimai for doing all this naughtiness. Then when the Brahmanas, the men, they would chant their Gayatri, in waist deep water. And when they would chant their Gayatri in waist deep water, the Brahmanas, they would hold their, wrap their finger around their Brahmin thread and, staying inside the water, standing, in waist deep water of the Ganges, they would chant their Gayatris. And Nimai was so naughty, he would swim underwater. He would swim underwater and he would catch hold of the feet of these Brahmanas and he would pull. He would pull to such an extent, these Brahmanas would fall. They were, they would be shocked that what's pulling them underwater. And they would fall down and their Gayatri would get, broken and they would have to start over again. Sometimes when the devotees would take a dip inside the Ganges, they would go down, full head inside submerged. So then Nimai, who was already underwater, he would climb on their shoulder. And then when they would come up from the water, he would be sitting on their shoulder. And then he would say, look, I am the Lord of the universe. You are my Kaliya and I'm going to dance on your head. Like this Nimai would do. And he would start dancing on the shoulders of these different, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And everyone who would witness this, of course, they would apparently show some anger. And then, but they were relishing it. That, if one day Nimai would not come to the Ganga Ghat, to the Ghat of the Ganges, it would seem as if their bath is incomplete without the mischievous antics of Lord Nimai. So they were very, very attached at the same time to these, mischievous, innocent childhood pastimes of Nimai Pandit. So one day when, the Brahmanas, they were taking bath, and there were young girls, who were worshipping Lord Shiva to get a very good husband. Young girls, they worship Lord Shiva. Yesterday was Shivaratri. So young girls, before their marriage, they worship Lord Shiva that they may get a husband like Lord Shiva. They may be blessed with a husband like Lord Shiva, Param Vaishnava like Lord Shiva. So these girls, they were worshipping Lord Shiva to get a very good husband, and they were offering, beautiful sandesh, delicious offerings they were giving to Lord Shiva to please him. And there comes, and when they were closing their eyes and praying to Lord Shiva, at that time Nimai stealthily came, and then he just started eating all the sandesh, all the rasagullas. He started eating everything, all their offerings he started eating. And then when the little girls, when they opened their eyes, they saw little Nimai. He's sitting and eating up all their offerings, and they said, hi, Nimai, what are you doing? This offering is meant for Lord Shiva, and you are eating, you're contaminating our worship, you're breaking our fast. What are you doing, Nimai? And then Nimai said, look, my dear girls, I am the master of Lord Shiva. And they would say, oh, Shiva, 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 Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. What are you saying, Nimai? Offensive, offensive. Don't say all these things. And they would say, Nimai would say, see, I am telling you absolute truth. I am the master of Lord Shiva. And if you worship me, then I'm promising you that you will get beautiful, handsome looking husbands who are young, who are so well qualified. You will be blessed with such husbands. But if you don't give me sandesh and rasgullas, and if you don't worship me, if you go and complain about me to Mother Sachi, then I will curse you. All of you will get old, shriveled up husbands. And they will have previous wives and many, many children also. You'll be, cursed to have such husbands. You want that? The girls would say, no, Nimai, please. You are putting us in Dharma Sankat, whether we should worship you or whether we should worship. Don't curse us. Come on, Nimai. You are the son of a Brahmana. You are to us. You are the son of a Brahmana. You are so, your Brahmanas are supposed to be very merciful. They don't say curses like this. Don't torture us, Nimai, please. Let us complete our vrata. And this was being witnessed by some elderly Brahmanas. What Nimai is doing? Why is he troubling all these young girls like this? And then the girls would go take bath in the Ganges after their vrata, and Nimai would trouble them there also. He would come up in front of them when the Brahmanas are chanting Gayatri, or when these girls are chanting, they're taking their bath, he would just take away their clothes. He would do all this mischief. When the Brahmanas would chant their Gayatri, Nimai would sometimes, dip in front of them, and then he will fill his mouth with Ganges water, and he will come right in front of their face. He will come right while they're chanting Gayatri. He will come right in front of their face and go. He will just spray, Ganga water onto their face while they're chanting Gayatri. And that way contaminating them externally so that they would have to chant their Gayatri again. But they were so fortunate that they are getting Ganga water is already the Charanamrit of Lord Vishnu. And that Charanamrit of Lord Vishnu, when Nimai used to put it in his lotus mouth, it's becoming Maha, 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 Super Maha Prasad. And that Charanamrita, Maha, 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 Maha Prasad, from the lotus mouth of Nimai, was getting sprayed on these Brahmanas, their bodies. How fortunate these Brahmanas are. So those brahmanas, they would apparently, externally, get very angry. That Nimai, you are making us chant Gayatri how many times? How many times should we chant our Gayatri? You're breaking our Gayatri. You know, the rule of chanting Gayatri mantras is that if it gets broken, then you will start over again from the beginning. So Nimai Pandit would do that. Little Nimai was so mischievous. He would do that. He would make these brahmanas chant Gayatri over and over and over again. But they would enjoy it. In their heart of hearts, they would love it. But when, the mischievous, the naughtiness of Nimai was getting too much, at that time, one day, the girls, the little girls, they came crying to Sachimata, along with all these brahmanas. They came crying to Sachimata and said, look what this Nimai, your son, is doing, Sachimata. You're such a respectable woman, and your son, he's doing like this to us. And they started complaining and crying. And the brahmanas went to Jagannath Mishra and said, look, we love your son. He's our life and soul. But, every day he does this. He's troubling us so much. And Jagannath Mishra, he got really angry. He got really, 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 really angry. So he said, today, I'm not going to leave this Nimai. I'm going to teach him a lesson. So he took a stick and then he started walking towards the Ganga Ghat. And Nimai had his detectives all around. His little friends, they were spread all over Navadvip. Who is going and complaining where? What is happening in which part of the town? Go and keep an eye. So one of Nimai's detective friends came running to Nimai and said, Nimai, today you're in for a lot of trouble. Nimai was in the Ganga and he was, wet. He was playing and frolicking in the waters of the Ganga. And Nimai said, why? What happened? What happened? He said, your father, he's coming. Jagannath Mishra is coming with a big stick in his hand. And today he's not going to spare you. He's very angry. So then Nimai said, okay, bye for now. And Nimai just squatted from there. He just ran away from the Ganga. And what he did, and from the Ganga to Nimai's house is a very short distance. And Nimai actually covered it through another shorter distance so that he can reach the house, well ahead in time. And by the time Nimai reached the house, Jagannath Mishra had already left. So then when Jagannath Mishra came to the Ganga Ghat, he couldn't see Nimai. So Jagannath Mishra started walking back to the house. And when he started walking back to the house, Nimai was already standing there with Sachimata. His hair was so dry. Nimai had beautiful black curling hair. It would cover his golden-like face like clouds, like fresh rain clouds. Very beautiful hair Nimai had. And his hair was seeming as if it's been in dust. When, like how kids, when they come back from school, what is their condition? He had ink all over his hands, all over his face, his school uniform also he was wearing. It was all dusty and scattered as if Nimai is coming from school. So then Jagannath Mishra touched Nimai's hair and it was as dry as, a fresh cotton. There was no sign of wetness. If he's been in the Ganga, then there has to be wet. His hair have to be wet. So Nimai's hair was felt by Jagannath Mishra and said, Nimai, where are you coming from? He said, I'm coming from school. Where else you think I'm coming from? I'm coming from the toll. Toll means, those days his school was called the toll. He said, I'm coming from the toll. I am going to go to the Ganga. And Sachimata said, look, he's now. Because he's so dirty, I was about to send him. And what are these people complaining that my son is there in the Ganga? This is all, they are trying to defame my son. What is this? How much injustice? And Jagannath Mishra was so confused. He said, even the Brahmanas are coming and telling me like this. What is this? And Jagannath Mishra was confused. He said, okay, Nimai, go take bath and come back. I'm waiting for you for lunch. He said, yes, Pita. I will just go dip in the Ganga and I will come back and we will have prasad together. And I said, okay, Nimai, go. So like this, Nimai would never get caught. He would never ever get caught for all the mischief. But Nimai's detective friends, they noted who were the Brahmanas who went and complained to Jagannath Mishra. They had each and every one of their names written down. And Nimai, later in the evening, he said, we have to teach these Brahmanas a lesson that they will never go and complain about me to my mother and father. They should never do that. So let's do something tonight. We are going on a mission to take revenge on these Brahmanas because they complained against me. So then the friend said, okay, Nimai, we are with you. We are with you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? He said, come in the evening. We will discuss and I will bring everything. You just come. So then Nimai had brought out, by the time, all those days there were no electricity. There was no electricity. Everything was going on, fire, like lamps and hurricanes like that. So as soon as it was dark, the lights were all dim in everyone's home. It appeared that everyone is already almost asleep. At that time, Nimai and his friends, they put bed sheets over themselves. Okay, two boys put bed sheet over themselves and they appeared like cows. So what they did is they came from the back door of these Brahmanas, and these Brahmanas had very nice farms, like gardens, actually, not farms, but gardens in their home. Very nice, fruit trees, flower trees, everything they had in their backyard. So Nimai, dressed up like a bull, he would enter this gardens and he would destroy and massacre the garden. And if that sound would wake up the Brahmanas and they would say, hey, there's a bull in our backyard, there's a bull. And then Nimai and his friends would run away from that particular house. So like this, they did to 3-4 homes. And then some homes, what they did is that they latched the front door and the back door. They locked the residents of the household inside the household so that they will not be able to come out. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of this was that the restrooms in those days, they used to be located in the courtyard of the house. To have restrooms inside the house is very muchi. Nowadays it's a fashion that if you don't have attached bathrooms, then it's low standard. But in the Vedic times, it was considered to be low standard if your restroom is in the house. They would actually have the washrooms outside the house because it's a muchi place. It's a dirty, dirty place. And I remember even my grandfather's ancestral home, my mother's side, her ancestral home, I know till today they had like, my grandfather's like a zamindar, and they did not have any restrooms inside their huge mansion. They have like a mansion like home, and there was no restrooms. All the restrooms was outside in the courtyard. And when I was reading this particular pastime, I could immediately relate that yes, in the early days, even about 100 years ago, it was considered to be auspicious to not have restrooms or washrooms inside the house. That is suchi. That is the Vedic way of cleanliness. So anyways, so because the washrooms were outside, Nimai and his friends, they latched up the door from outside so that when morning comes and these people have to go and answer nature call, they cannot come out for the grave offense they have done to complain against Nimai, who is the master of all nature. These people were restricted from even answering nature's call by the master of all nature. That's how Nimai took his revenge. By some of them he destroyed their gardens, and to some of them he latched them inside their house, and they were like, oh, please open us up, please open. And then the villagers, they would come and they would open their door, but they were in trouble. You can control everything, but when nature calls, you really need to go. So anyways, like this, Nimai Pandit was doing beautiful, beautiful childhood pastimes. And these childhood pastimes were so amazing that, they were drowning the inhabitants of Nadia. So So like this, the people of Nadia, the people of Navadvip, they were always very, very fond of these childhood pastimes. They would just laugh and joke with each other because of the innocent presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai, displaying his beautiful humorous pastimes of childhood. So moving on, of course, there are so many childhood pastimes that I just wanted to focus on some of the funny ones. Today, we know so many childhood pastimes that are there with the Brahmana eating the rice, and so many, pastime with Kolavecha Sridhar, so many beautiful pastimes of Nimai as his childhood. But if we have to go with all that, then we'll never be able to finish Sri SaciSuta Ashtakam. So to keep that in mind, we will move on to the second verse of that we read today. That Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is endowed with ever fresh love of Godhead. His radiant luster is like the color of fresh butter. So we can see here how it is said, Nava Hema Yutam Navanita Shucham. That Navanita means butter. Navanita Tashkara. We say there is a song glorifying Krishna and Balaram where he's called as Navanita Tashkara, that he's the one who steals butter. So like this, his his complexion is described here by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to be like Navanita. That he's not only the stealer of butter, but he also is the complexion of butter. Navanita. When even as a childhood, one of the childhood pastimes, very significant one, I wanted to share with all of you. Probably would have shared this before, but this sometimes, whenever I talk about butter thief, we always relate the butter thief to be Krishna, but Mahaprabhu also displayed his pastime as a butter thief. This was revealed to us by Jananivas Prabhu one time during the festival of Gopashtami. Gopashtami, we all know that how, the gopis, they were following Krishna because this was the first day that Krishna was going to graze the cows. He had a promotion that, he would graze the cows that day, and he was going into the forest to graze the cows and the calves. So the gopis were not able to tolerate the separation from Krishna, and they lifted their skirts and they were running behind Krishna, following him into the forest. And that's why we see the darshan of the lotus feet of the gopis and Srimati Radharani on this particular day. So in Mayapur, the darshan of the lotus feet of the gopis, the Ashtasakhis, and Mahabhav Swarupini Srimati Radha Thakurani, we can have darshan of their lotus feet on this particular day of Kartik on Gopashtami day. So Gopashtami day, we also, because we first in the morning we take darshan of the lotus feet of Radharani and the gopis, and then during the day we go to the Goshala to celebrate. There's a beautiful festival. We make chapatis. I remember my mother and myself, we used to make almost 300-400 chapatis to take to the Goshala for feeding the cows. Chapati and jaggery and bananas. We would take all this, and then we would feed the cows. We would decorate the cows. We would put kumkum and haldi in our hands, and then dip our hands in kumkum and haldi, and we would paint the bodies of the cows with handprints. That's what Krishna would do. So, we would hand print the cows like this, decorate the cows. We would, bathe the cows and then decorate them in this way, garlanding them, and then we would feed them. So Jananivas Prabhu was one time giving the lecture during this Gopashtami festival, and he, the Goshala, those of us who've been to Mayapur can relate to this, that he was sitting in the Goshala and he was pointing the road that goes from the Goshala, coming from the temple to the Goshala, and then going towards the Jalangi river. Jalangi is a branch of the Ganga, which is called to be Jalangi because it is considered to be Jamuna. So when you cross the Jalangi from the Goshala side, you come to Godrum Dweep. Godrum Dweep is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home is, and from there is actually Surabhi Kunj and the home of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from where he had the vision of Yogapeeth and the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. So he had darshan of Mahaprabhu's appearance place. So all this is right there across the Jalangi. And so Jananivas Prabhu, he just pointed out all of us. So we had our back to the road. So we all turned around, and Jananivas Prabhu said that this is the road. He said, pointing it out towards that same road. And he said that this is the exact road on which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai would walk every day from his home at Yogapeeth. He would take this road and he would come and he would cross this Goshala area. He would go into the Jalangi, he would cross the Jalangi, and he would go to Godrum Dweep. In Godrum Dweep were beautiful cowherd men. They had very, very beautiful cows. Godrum, of course, it is the land of the cows, the land of the cowherd men, it is also said. So this island there was full of wonderful milk giving cows, and many cowherd men would be there, and Nimai would go there with all his friends, and he would just drink the milk, he would drink the yogurt, he would have butter, all this he would sit and eat, enjoy. That was his breakfast almost every single day. This is what Nimai Pandit would do every single day. He would go into this Goshala area of this, in Godrum Dweep, walking through this area, this road, and he would go there. And the cowherd men in Godrum Dweep, they would all say that, my dear Nimai, we are very blessed that you come here every day to take the milk, butter, and yogurt from all of us. But my dear boy, you are a Brahmana, a higher caste. We are Vaishyas. We are lower caste. You should not come and mix with us freely, because those days this caste system was very, very prevalent. So the innocent cowherd men would tell Nimai that, Nimai, although it fills our heart with so much happiness when you come and take all these ingredients from us, but you come and touch us, you come and embrace us, and it fills our hearts with joy. But we are also scared of the society. What will society say? Because you are the son of a Brahmana. You are a Brahmana. You should not be doing like this. We will come and deliver the milk in your house. Don't come here. You might be criticized for this. And Nimai would say, I don't care if I'm criticized, but I just come here because I love to take the milk and the yogurt and butter directly from all of you. And Nimai would say like this, talk in such pleasing way that the Vaishyas, those cowherd men, would, lovingly offer more and more butter and yogurt to Krishna. To Nimai. But when Jananivas Prabhu said that Nimai would actually walk this road, and he made a statement that those who are fortunate till today, they can see Nimai walking in the early morning hours. The Nimai till today is going to Godrum following the same route. It felt as if that, Jananivas Prabhu can actually see it. He can actually see Gauranga Mahaprabhu walking through that same road, and it was a very, very powerful experience. So we hope that one day all of us will also have this beautiful fortune of, Lord Mahaprabhu, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, revealing to us his Nitya Leela, his eternal pastime that he is displaying in Sri Navadvip Dham, in Sri Mayapur Dham, that we will be able to witness it with our eyes, that he will allow us to witness it by the mercy of our spiritual masters. So we pray for that. So here, that's why he's saying Navanita Shucham, that his color, his complexion is like that of butter. Navavesha Kritam Hari Nama Param. Navavesha Kritam. He never dresses the same. Nimai is an opulent dresser. When he was a child, he would only wear jewelry, ornaments. He would not have anything else on his body, just like baby Krishna. Till Krishna was around 3.5 years, Krishna never wore any clothing. He only wore jewelry, only wore ornaments. And that's the same with Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He used to wear beautiful ornaments covering all different parts of his body. And then when he grew up, he would wear dhoti, yellow dhoti, in such a way that it was so enchanting. Mother Sachi would tie up his hair in a top knot, and he would, there were pearls that were anointing his hair. It would come down from his bun. It would, Nimai would go like this. The pearls would sway to and fro. Everyone would get intoxicated simply by just looking at this beautiful vision of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So beautiful. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu would walk, it would look as if, millions of suns are walking together. So effulgent, so bright was this little Nimai Pandit. And to contrast that, to completely contrast that of this Nava Vesha Kritam, when Gauranga Mahaprabhu, displaying his ultimate renunciation when he accepted sannyas, he just wore one kind of clothing, simply to reciprocate with the unconditional love of Srimati Radharani. He actually just wore this one kind of clothing, which is the saffron color, signifying the sacrifice of love of Srimati Radharani. So in reciprocating to her with her abundant love, Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, and he wore just that one outfit for the rest of his life, from 24 to 48 years. That is how much of love Mahaprabhu has. Then it says, Navadha vilasat shubha premamayam. Navadha vilasat. Navadha means the 9 processes of devotional service. That Mahaprabhu himself was executing the 9 processes of devotional service. This, Nava Gauravaram, we are saying, Nava Bhavadharam, Nava Hemayutam. Now, Nava in Sanskrit has many meanings. Nava means new. Nava also means the number 9. Number 9 is very, very significant in our Vaishnava Sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya especially, because there are lots of 9s. We have 9 processes of devotional service. We have the 9 stages of prema. We have the 9 islands of Navadvip. So like this, number 9, Nava, is very, very auspicious. It is the highest single digit number. So this number 9 is supposed to be very, very auspicious. And that is why Mahaprabhu is said here by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Mahaprabhu is the actual follower of the 9 processes of devotional service. Navadha vilasat shubha premamayam. Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram. That how Mahaprabhu not only preached about the 9 processes of devotional service that we should engage in, but Mahaprabhu actually taught by his own example that how we should follow the 9 processes of devotional service, which is explained here in the 3rd verse. The 3rd verse is saying, Hari Bhakti Param Hari Namadharam Karajapakaram Hari Nama Param Nayane Satatam Pranayashrudharam Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu is always absorbed in devotion to Sri Hari. He maintains the chanting of the names of Hari. While chanting, he counts the holy names on the fingers of his hands. He is addicted to the name of Hari. He always has tears of love welling in his eyes. I bow down to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the beautiful son of Mother Shachi. So here we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is practicing what he's preaching. He's not just saying that you chant the holy names. Mahaprabhu, we say that, he has come here to give us the chanting of the holy names. And Mahaprabhu, while he's giving, it's not that he's just sitting back, relaxing and enjoying. No. Mahaprabhu himself is also chanting. He is immersed in the chanting of the holy names. He is showing us by example that what is the effect of chanting the holy names sincerely. What can be the maximum effect that we can actually expect when we are chanting the holy names? The tears should well up in our eyes. The ultimate ecstasy. Mahaprabhu has revealed it all. But we should be very careful that we do not imitate this aspect of externally displaying some ecstasies. That is very offensive and that is very shallow. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very, very, very strict, because the practices, the way Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed pure emotional love of God. Mahaprabhu would, whenever there was ecstatic kirtan, Mahaprabhu would display such ecstatic symptoms. His body would become shriveled up sometimes. His body would appear to be, growing fat sometimes. This would happen in people's bare eyes. People could actually see his body shrinking and expanding at the same time. Mahaprabhu's body would sometimes be as ice cold. His body would feel as if it is icy cold, anyone who would touch his body. But sometimes Mahaprabhu's body temperature would rise so much heat would emanate from his body that even the stone would melt by the heat coming from the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu would cry incessantly and he would faint during kirtans. These were all the emotional, symptoms of pure ecstatic love of God that Mahaprabhu did display. However, after the disappearance of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, some sentimentalists, some just, imitators, just some shallow imitators, they actually imitated this form of showing ecstatic symptoms that Mahaprabhu had displayed, and they would just simply in a very shallow way they would actually display. They were called as sahajiyas. So this was happening after the disappearance of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. For 200 years this was happening. At that time Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared. And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, all this Aul, Baul, and this Sahajiyas, all of them, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wiped them out. He just cleaned up all these Apasampradayas. And he again re-established the actual siddhantas of the tenets of teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was the one who strongly established that how we should not just, imitate, our great acharyas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should not just in a shallow way, in a false way, in just in a crazy way, just imitate them. No, we should follow in their footsteps. There's a difference. We know what our level is. We know that we are not at that level of, displaying our emotional love of God. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, he was always in the Uttamadhikari stage. Srila Prabhupada always was immersed in pure, unalloyed devotion to Krishna. In fact, sometimes Srila Prabhupada's ecstatic moods would get revealed. It's said that one time during a Pandal program in Bombay, when Kirtan was going on, Srila Prabhupada got so emotionally ecstatic that, tears of love of God were shooting like arrows from his eyes. It was not just falling down, like rolling down his cheeks, but, his tears were hitting like arrows, So some disciples were like, from where is this drops of, you know, warm drops of, water coming? And they noticed that Srila Prabhupada was crying. And whenever Srila Prabhupada, would get a little emotional or ecstatic, Srila Prabhupada would immediately change the subject. He would close his eyes and he would tell his disciples to do kirtan. Because many a times this kind of, public display of ecstasy can be misunderstood. It can be misinterpreted. And it can be, misconstrued in the minds of people, and they would falsely then try to imitate it and, act not on the basis of natural emotional love of God, but they would just, display some cheap, imitation. So therefore, Vaishnavas are very, very careful to not display their ecstasies in public. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore, when he was in public, when he was doing Harinam Sankirtan, Mahaprabhu would, dance. He would dance in such a way that, just by seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, people would become devotees. People's hearts would change. They would get transformed. And of course, when Mahaprabhu was within his, intimate associates, when he was, surrounded by his intimate devotees, at that time, Mahaprabhu would display these ecstatic emotions. So Mahaprabhu has given us, just like a teacher may be a PhD herself or himself, but when they teach, ABC to a child, to students, they will also say, see, this is how you write A. They will write, A like this. So anyone who is seeing this aspect of a teacher teaching some children, they may be misunderstanding and saying, oh, how can this teacher, they don't know how to do A. They are also teaching A. What are they going to teach more than A, B, C to my child? They might not even know. But the teacher knows what is the level of the student and how to teach the student, because the teacher is PhD. So this is the difference between our acharyas, who set the examples for us to follow in their footsteps. And they show us how we can follow this process. So that is what Mahaprabhu did himself, that although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna himself in the mood of Mahabhav Swarupani Srimati Radha Thakurani, combination of Sri Radha and Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So Mahaprabhu has come to give us, Golokera Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana. This is the love, the treasure of love of God. Mahaprabhu has come to give that to us. And when Mahaprabhu came down from Goloka, Vrindavan, from the Shvetadvip abode of Goloka Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu, when he came down, the doors of Goloka, he opened those doors of Goloka and he walked down to us to give us this Golokera Premadhana. And that door that Mahaprabhu opened, that door is open till today, by the grace of Mahaprabhu. And only by the grace of Mahaprabhu do we have a chance to return back to Goloka Vrindavan, because Mahaprabhu never closed the door behind him. He has kept the doors open. And that is the benefit that we in Kali Yuga have, that no other yuga has. Every other yuga has access only till Vaikuntha, planet of the spiritual world. Goloka Vrindavan's doors is opened only and only by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Krishna does not open Goloka Vrindavan's doors. It is only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his ultimate compassion for all living entities, because he is accompanied by the compassion personified, who is Srimati Radharani. So both of them, they are opening the doors. The doors of Goloka Vrindavan are open for us, and it is up to us how sincerely, how dedicatedly are we taking up to this process of chanting the holy names. Only then we will be able to enjoy actual rasa. We will be able to relish actual rasa. Nava rasa, nava rasa. how we can actually relish the true rasa of chanting the holy names. It is only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani and by Krishna himself, who have come in the form of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is merciful and allows us to chant. By the mercy of Nitai, by the mercy of the Adi Guru, the mercy of the spiritual master, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we will be able to chant the holy names if we have the desire to. So with this, we will end here. If there's any questions, comments, or reflections, we can take that now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for a wonderful class, Mataji. It's really beautiful sharing pastimes of Nimai. As many times we hear, it will be every time new for me, Mataji. So,
You're very fortunate. You're very fortunate that Nimai is allowing you to relish. So we beg for your blessing so that we can also follow your footsteps and relish these pastimes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. If anybody have any questions or realizations, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Mataji, these pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described detailed in not in Chaitanya Charitamrita, right, Mataji?
No.
Which book we should be reading, Mataji?
Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Okay.
Yes. Chaitanya Bhagavat, because Vrindavan Das Thakur, he has written in detail about the childhood pastimes, and Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Chaitanya Mangala. These three books were written by three different authors, but around the same time. So, it was not like a competition, that everyone's things will be there in every book, but Chaitanya Charitamrita has not in detail about the childhood pastimes, has little bit. So what is there in one book is found in the other book in complete detail. So these are the three books, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And it was not like a competition that, I want everything in my book. So they wrote it for the benefit of mankind. And so these three books, are very, very essential. But yes, if you want the childhood pastimes, then read Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Mataji, very beautiful class. I had a doubt, Mataji, even Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about this bowl. But this bowl, in the childhood, we have heard many singers coming to the door, to the house and singing bowl song.
Yes.
Is it the same bowl that's been mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, and even today you also mentioned same thing? It's the same bowl, Mataji?
Yes, it is. The Baul Kirtans, the Baul style of Kirtan, because they all lead to certain offensive Kirtan styles, because again, as I said, that they were, imitating the pure ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so they are considered to be apasampradayas, and so, but the Baul style of Kirtan is inculcated in some form or the other. Just, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, he took the good from these places, like the Kirtan style of the Baul, using the kartals, mridangas and everything. That was perfectly what Mahaprabhu was himself doing. So that is there, but then what they were doing extra was their own mental concoction, and that was destroyed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, So, the deviations were taken care of by Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
My memory from it was like they used to sing. I mean, it used to really touch the heart the way they used to sing.
Yeah.
Sounded very deep and
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavad pranams. Any other?
Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble Dandavad pranams for Vishnu Shukra Pada Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class, Mataji. Always the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu childhood pastimes. It's the way that you're saying it is really relishing to see the pastimes directly. So thank you so much for the wonderful narration.
It's the purity of your listening. It's got nothing to do with me, but it's the purity of your listening that Mahaprabhu is revealing himself to you. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna SaciSuta Mataji. Thank you so much for beautiful class, Mataji. Very nice narration of pastimes. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Gandharvika. Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Reflections, realizations?
Hare Krishna SaciSuta Mataji. Koti Dhanavad Pranam. Srila Prabhupada. As usual, very wonderful class, Mataji. Especially pastime of such Nimai, Mataji seems that Radhanath Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, and actually Shri Radha Gopinath Temple. Like we feel that Leela, so happy to hear again and again, same pastime, but again and again we get the nectar, Mataji. Hari Bol Hare Krishna, Koti Dhanavad Pranam. Mataji, can you please sing SaciSuta Ashtakam?
Yeah, thank you, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. All glories to your sincerity, all glories to your devotion. Always is very inspiring to me. Thank you. Okay, so is there any more questions?
Hare Krishna, very blissful class, Mataji. It was very such a touching, like the way you describing, just like the other Mataji say, it was like hopefully one day we can able to feel that. Hare Krishna, to see that live, yes. Hare Krishna Mataji, very nice. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Okay. So Vrinda Gopika Mataji, this is for you. Navagauravam Nava Pushpasaram Navabhavadharam Navalasyaparam Navahasyakaram Navahemavaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram.
One more stanza, Mataji, please.
Okay. Navahemayutam Nava Nitashucham Navaveshakritam Harinamabaram Navadhavilasat Shubha Premamayam Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram Pranamami SaciSuta Gauravaram.
Jai Bhagavad SaciSuta Ashtakam ki jai, Koti Dhanavad Pranam. Jai SaciSuta Mataji ki jai.
Her Grace Vrinda Gopika Mataji ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so shall we end the call if there's no more questions or comments?
nobody have any questions, we can end the call here. Paying obeisances to Sarvesh Kalashubha Mataji and to all the devotees. Vancha Kalpatarupyasya Krupa Sindhu Evcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Anantapoti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sarvesh Kalashubha Mataji Ki Jai. Thank you so
Ananta
much,
Koti
Mataji.
Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
This
Thank you
session
so
is no
much.
longer being recorded.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you.